Hey guys, so I have to jump on here real fast to say something because I'm pissed off. So I was just about to go and check all my messages from you guys because there's a bunch that I missed in the last 2 days because I've been down with my period. I have not been feeling good. That's what happens when I get my period the first couple of 2 days or so, 2 or 3 days. It sucks the fucking life out of me, dude. The life. It literally feels like I'm dying, you know? So I was fixing to go and check all my messages, right? And I was like, oh, let me look at my reels and see how my reels are doing. And one of the comments popped up first, and it's from this lady named Missy Fisher. Oh, hey, Missy. I see you're in the comment section. Good. I'm glad you're here. Listen up. There's one thing that I'm not, and that's I'm not a liar. Okay, I share the whole truth of my freaking life, and I'm transparent about that, okay? I'm so transparent about it. I share things that are shameful upon my name because I want to help other people. I want other people to not feel like they're so alone out there because I've made those mistakes. I will never, ever, ever lie to you guys about how my little boy got taken away. My best friend called CPS on me. My best friend that I smoked crack with and shot meth with. We lived together for a very long time before I met my husband. She's a drug addict. I'm a drug addict. We was drug addicts together. Okay? One thing I'm not is a liar. I introduced her to her cop boyfriend. You didn't know that, did you? We were actually at Walmart at 3 o'clock in the morning one morning, and we walked outside after shopping and tweaking our balls off the whole night. And when we walked outside, he was parked outside, and she thought, damn, he's sexy. He was standing by his truck. His marked vehicle, his car. He was a black guy, super buff, super cute guy, right? So I said to him, Mr. Officer, my friend thinks you're hot. And so they started dating. He came over that night and I was high as hell. He didn't give a fuck. You know why? Because I can be high around a police officer and they can't do shit about that unless I'm fucking some shit up. You can be under the influence and not be fucking shit up, you know? So I introduced the two of them. They were boyfriend and girlfriend, but he was married. Yeah, he has a wife. So I don't know why it's such a stretch that her cop boyfriend was helping me out and gave me back my $30 because he was doing felonious ass shit too, fucking cheating on his wife. You know, like don't ever come up on my post and call me a liar ever, because I will put you on Front Street for everyone to see. Okay, don't ever call me a liar. All right, because that's one thing I will never do is I will never lie about my story. Okay, I know it's crazy because you know what? We did some crazy stuff when we were in our active addiction, but I won't lie about it. I have no reason to lie. Just because someone's a cop doesn't mean they're a good person. Just because somebody's a cop doesn't mean they follow the law either. And for all people, you know, you think that people who would watch my shit would know that, you know? But, yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened.
Yeah, he lived off of Stagecoach, didn't he?
Yeah. My husband said, yeah, he lived off of wherever he lived, didn't he? My husband was there. My little boy was well taken care of, okay? We actually lived with my mother and father-in-law before my son got taken away. Okay. Okay. My mother and father-in-law moved out about a month before CPS got involved in our lives because they bought a new home. All right, so my little boy was always well taken care of. He was always fed, plump as a little plumpster can be. I can show you guys pictures right now. I was actually going through them the other day, showing them to everybody because I was so, you know, I don't really remember a lot from back then because I was in my active addiction. And so I was reminiscing and going through these pictures and going, yeah, I remember that because I wanted to show you guys. But don't ever come on my post and call me a liar, ever. Because you will get called out and everybody in Facebook world will know it. Because I'm not a liar. Okay? I'm not a liar. That's one thing I am not, is a liar. I tell too much of my motherfucking business. And that's a big problem. Okay? I tell too much of my business. And so I have no reason to fucking like make up some shit. My fucking story's crazy enough as it is. Do you know what I'm saying? Why do I have to make shit up to like embellish it? And why would I add a part in there about a cop? Like who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Just because he was a cop doesn't mean he's a good person. You know? And so like I'm scrolling through my reels. Now she ran off somewhere. I guess she got scared. But Missy Fisher, she comments, she's like, this is a lie. Lies. There's no way. Well, yeah, there is a way, girl. open your mind, realize that just because people are police officers doesn't mean they give a fuck about you or care about whether you're high, you know?
Hell, most of them get high themselves.
Yeah, most of them get high themselves and steal the fucking evidence, okay? Like, this dude, y'all, when I tell y'all, this dude was cheating on his wife who had 3 kids, okay?
And she found out about it,
and he still was still doing it, still to this day, probably, I think, I'm pretty sure. And so there's no reason why I would ever fucking lie. You know, y'all know how I am, okay? Like, you can come on here. If you don't like me, that's cool. You don't have to watch me, right? It's all good. But don't ever call me a liar, because a liar is one thing that I am not, okay? I literally put my heart and soul out here on social media and share all of my life with people, right? In hopes that other people won't feel so alone. You know, I don't do it because I'm like, oh, I'm so cool because I was on drugs. No, I wish I never did drugs. I wish I had never done substances. I wish I had never ruined my life with drugs and alcohol. I wish that I had made a different choice in my life, but I didn't. And so because of the choices I made, I'm going to share with what I did, you know? And so, I just had to come on here. I wasn't really feeling like going live because I don't feel good. But, you know, when somebody tries to call me a liar, man, ooh, if I ever catch any of y'all commenting that I'm a liar on my stuff, I will make a video back to you too, and I will post your name all over my account. You know, just because I'm in recovery doesn't mean like I'm all like fucking goody two-shoe and shit, you know? Just because I'm sober doesn't mean that I won't fuck some shit up too.
You're also pissy because you're on your period.
I'm also pissy because I'm on my period. So it just really made me upset though when I saw that, because I thought, why would somebody say that? Like, I'm sharing my story with you. Adding that my friend's boyfriend was a cop doesn't make it any more less or real. Do you know what I'm saying? And if you're not from where I'm from, then you must be. Like, they took fucking 2 or 3 years to find this poor girl, Evie Stepik, who was literally dead in a fucking drainage pipe, like 2 feet from the car where her car was parked in this park, right? You know why? Because there's crooked police officers here in Little Rock, and one of the kids who was supposedly did it or was involved with it, his dad was on the police force. And so a lot of people that are, you know, in this area are good old boys. They all know each other. They're all related, and it's like very, very not cool, right? So anyways, I had to come on here and say something about that. I seen the girl in the live stream when I first tuned on, cause, I seen her picture with her family, and when I see somebody singing and they do something, I screenshot that shit in my mind, and I won't forget your picture. I won't forget who you are either. So anyways, haters gonna hate. It just made me mad because it's like, don't call me a liar. Just don't do that, you guys. Anyways, let's get off that topic. I'm watching the show right now. It's called Pepsi, Where's My Jet on Netflix. And did you guys know that back in the 90s, whenever they did those Pepsi commercials, remember the Coke wars when they were like Pepsi against Coke? Well, they made a commercial where they said they were going to be giving away a Harrier jet for 7 million Pepsi points. Well, it was supposed to be a joke, and nobody was supposed to take it seriously, right? Did you watch it, Brittany? Well, somebody took it seriously, and the dude sent in a check for $700,000 to buy these points so he could get this fucking jet. And then what him and his business partner was going to do was, of course, sell the jet because it was a $32 million jet, right? And then make the money and then open a business or something. And so I'm watching it right now. I went 2 years with that. Hey, Austin, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. I'm so glad that I can help you, for real. I really am. And I also saw a comment from somebody. They said I had made a video about Suboxone, and they commented, or you can do Kratom. That's right. Or you can do Kratom. I support that too. I support you doing whatever you think is best for you. If you ever call me or you reach out to me for help, you guys, I'm not going to be like, you have to go to rehab. Right? I'm not going to say you can't. Hey, Linda, I left you a message on your phone, but I'm going to tell you something right now. I've been sick for 2 days. Okay. And I told you that when I texted you. You can text me any question you have, honey, and I will answer it straight up. Or you can send it in Messenger. I work from my phone, and so I don't want to talk on the phone all day when I already talk on the phone all day for my job. Okay? So please understand that and respect that. Okay? Because it's really hard for me right now to answer all the phone calls, but I can answer a text in no time. So thank you. I support all pathways to recovery. Like if you guys want to do, medical marijuana, or you want to do Suboxone or methadone, or you want to do abstinence, or you want to do rehab, like I support you. If you call me and you reach out to me, if you call me and I don't answer, text me. I text, that's how I talk. I talk through text. But if you're asking me like, hey, Nicole, what kind of treatment should I go to, right? I'm going to tell you, dude, that's up to you. I'm not going to try and make you or talk you into going to any kind of treatment, okay? That's not what I do. I'm not about that, all right? Like, I'm not going to try and talk you into going to residential treatment. I'm not going to try and talk you into going to a Suboxone treatment. You choose. That's your choice, okay? I think it's really fucked up whenever people, like, put pressure on people to do a certain way, and because they are getting something out of it, okay? I want you to choose what you want to do, all right? I will never pressure you to get on Suboxone because that's what I did, okay? You choose what you want to do, okay? And you have to, like, really think about that before you make the choice too, you guys. Because a lot of the times whenever people are trying to go to treatment, they just think that rehab is the number one answer and they go straight into treatment, rehab, right? But maybe that's not good for them. Maybe rehab is not where they need to be, right? Maybe there's somebody who they smoke weed and that helps them stay not depressed, but they're having a problem with meth. And then they get put into like a rehab that's abstinence, and they get pulled off of everything, and they go into a deep depression because they don't have their medical marijuana. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, choose what you need to do for you, you know? You guys choose whatever you need to do. And like I said, I'm not trying to be mean to anybody that reaches out to me. Look at me, y'all. I'm in the same clothes I was 2 days ago. I started my period and I've been just in bed, not like seriously in bed, not feeling it at all. And so please just text me. It makes it so much easier on me when you guys text, okay? When you get the voicemail that's on my phone, that's me. That's me. I work for a doctor's office. So when people, as you can see, then all the numbers come through my phone line. Okay. So that's why I have the answering machine set up with, hey, if you're calling for Dr. B, if you're calling for the wound care clinic, if you're calling for the MAT clinic that Dr. B runs, if you're calling for me, leave a message, because I'm answering the phones for 6 other entities, not just my own phone. And so I'm on the phone all day long. Okay. And so I get really, really stressed out with talking on the phone after a while. And it's not because of y'all. It's not y'all's fault. You know, it's not y'all's fault at all. Okay. And Linda, please don't take this the wrong way. It's not your fault at all. It's just the way the cookie has crumbled. You know what I mean? My job that I actually get paid to do is through my phone, you know, and it can get really overwhelming at times. So I just try to be honest with y'all. You know, I'm not trying to be mean at all. Because I understand. If you have questions, I can answer them. If I don't know how to answer them, I'll get the answer. Okay? I'll ask somebody else. So, okay. I did not plan on cutting on live. Let me brush my teeth. Let me brush my teeth real fast, because I did not plan on cutting on live and looking all crazy. And usually I wouldn't really care, but, you know, I don't like to look too crazy. Yeah. So that voicemail is like my job, you know what I'm saying? Because all the numbers that call me are hooked up through my phone. So, for instance, my boss has a MAT treatment program, a MAT clinic. The 1-800 number comes straight to my phone, okay? His harm reduction institute, the number comes straight to my phone. His wound care clinic, the number comes straight to my phone. And so when people are calling and they need wound care, I set them up with an appointment. Or if they're calling and they go to the MAC clinic and they need their appointment rescheduled, I set their appointment for a different date, you know? And so I know that's kind of confusing, and I don't expect you guys to know that, you know? But that's why if you call my number, that's me, that's my voice. And I'm talking about the MAC clinic and all that stuff on my voicemail. You know what I should have made? Now that I need to have my own phone line, what I should do is make them buy me a new phone and pay for the phone line. You know, now I will tell you this, my other boss, because I have two bosses. My other boss, Austin, did buy me a new phone, and he sent me a new phone to have for posting and stuff like that, for social media stuff, you know. Okay, Linda, I'm glad we're on the right feet then, girl, because I didn't want you to think I was trying to be mean. I mean, honestly, I want to get a new, like a Galaxy. I love Android phones, but I'll take anything, you know, if you got one that you want to hand me down. So I saw somebody saying something about, yeah, Dan, that's right. So Dan says that Bicycle Health is also a telemed place. Yeah, the reason why I went with Recovery Delivered so hard is because I know the guy that I know a guy that works there, and so Marcus and we're like kind of friends, you know, and also because they have their own pharmacy. So like a lot of people were telling me that were trying to get telemedicine. They were telling me that their telehealth people were calling their meds into their pharmacy, and the pharmacy was denying it because it's a telehealth doctor. So I found out that Recovery Delivered has their own pharmacy, and they'll fill your medicine at their pharmacy and then ship it to your door. So I was like, oh, hell yeah. You know what I mean? Because these people are here. Oh, it makes me sad when I feel like there's not enough resources for a lot of people in these towns like Georgia. I know here in Arkansas, like some really, really rural areas, like they can't get to a Suboxone doctor or a methadone clinic because they live so far out. And then a lot of people, you know, don't have cars because crash their cars in their active addiction. I had a car all through my active addiction, you guys. I had the car for 12 fucking years. Listen to this shit. I bought this car brand new, okay? It was a 2001 navy blue Ford Focus. I bought it in the year 2000. It was brand new. It had 5 fucking miles on it. 5 miles. I drove that bitch until the wheels fell off. Well, I made it up here to Little Rock, and it was 2011, almost 2012, right? And I got pulled over after buying some Roxy's, and I pulled over to shoot them up in this car wash parking lot, right? So me and my friend went ahead and did our deal, and then we put our stuff up, and I put my stuff up in the lady pocket, you know what I'm saying? And he put his stuff up, you know, in his regular pocket, his jean pocket. And we drove off. Well, when we were driving off, a cop got behind us. And when that cop got behind us, the blue lights went on right away. And I was like, oh, fuck. This fool grabs his fucking Xanaxes that he has and throws them underneath my passenger seat, right? He's sitting in the passenger seat. Well, she's seen him do that from her car. So when she walks up on us, she's automatically telling him to get out of the car. Automatically, right? And I'm sitting there, and I've got a syringe in my punani, okay? And so she's like, arrests him and puts him in the back. She comes over, they do me, they frisk me and everything. And she's like, you're good to go. And I'm like, okay. So I turn around to get back in my car to drive off. And she's like, oh no, ma'am. You're not taking your car. Your tags are expired and you have no insurance. And I was just like, I've had this car my whole life, all through my addiction, never ever got it taken away from me, right? And this day, my car is fucking gone for, goes to the impound, right? So I call my mom and dad. I'm like, hey, I need you to get my car out of the impound. And my mom's like, no. So I hang up on her. I call my dad. Dad, I need y'all to get my car out of the impound. He's like, no. And I'm just like, what do you mean? No. What do you mean? I'm freaking out, you know? No, I hadn't, Linda. I haven't heard of that. I'm freaking out. They've never, ever told me no with something so important, right? Like, my dad and my mom know how important my car is. Like, it was literally where I would live sometimes. And so they had just had enough. And they figured if they told me no and I lost my car, that would kind of like speed up the process of me getting sober, right? They was wrong. They was wrong, honey. Because where there's a will, there's a way. So I went and put my motherfucking car for sale on Facebook Marketplace. And you know what? Somebody called me and they wanted my car. And I said, here's the catch. It's in the impound. And she was like, that's all right. And so she drove me to Hot Springs to get my title. I signed the title over to her. She got my car out of the impound and gave me the rest of the money that she paid for it to get out of the impound, which was like only a couple $100. I couldn't even come up with a couple $100. And then she gave me the rest of the money, which was like $2,700 because I sold it to her for $3,000. It was like a 12-year-old car, you know, over 100,000 miles on it. And so here I am with $2,700 in my pocket with no fucking where to go and no car to get anywhere. So I called my friend Alicia and I was like, I'm in the money. I'm in the money. And she was an addict too. So she whipped around in her fucking Toyota Camry and come and pick me up real fast. And then we called my dealer and I said, dude, I got like $1,000. This is what I need, you know? And he was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, dude, meet me at this place right here. And it's the same guy that I always bought from. I never bought from a different person except for this one guy. This the only guy I ever went through. And I got a whole bunch of Roxy's and a whole bunch of Xanax from him. But this was in 2012, 2011, when there was no fentanyl in any drugs at all. Like if you bought a Xanax, it was a Xanax. If you bought a Roxy, it was a Roxy. You know, and I overdosed. Straight up. Y'all knew I was going to overdose. I always overdose, especially if I got that much money. So I'm sitting in the passenger seat of her car, and she said she looked over at me, and next thing you know, my lips are turning blue, and I'm over there fucking not breathing. And so she was such a good friend, y'all. She would never leave me, never leave me. So she took me to the emergency room, dropped me off on the side at the door of the emergency room, you know, because she was afraid that she would get in trouble if she didn't. That's how it was back then, though. Back then, you would either get left by your friends because you were overdosing, or they would call 911, or they would take you to the ER. So a lot of people probably died back then because people were afraid to help them, you know. But I'm glad it's not like that anymore. And I'm so glad that people talk so openly, like about carrying Narcan now too, you know, because it just wasn't like that back in the day whenever I was using. So after I got my car impounded and I sold it, you know, I had no vehicle. And this is how crazy my life was in active addiction, right? So I move in with Mr. Lawrence, he's like a triple OG, like an old school pimp. I'm talking like he wears the 3-piece suits with the alligator shoes and the little hat. He's like 70 years old, he's light-skinned black man with like green eyes. He's a pimp, right? And he lived like a block from Kroger, and I still worked at Kroger. And so I moved in with him. I was paying him like $400, y'all, to live in the spare bedroom that him and his girlfriend had. And it worked out perfect, right? So I'm walking back and forth to work. Well, one day I'm at work, and I got tired of living with Mr. Lawrence because he's pretty wild when he gets on one. You know what I'm saying? Like, he likes to get down with smoking crack and shooting up cocaine, and then he's really old, so then I'll find him in the bathroom, and he's done squirt blood everywhere. It looks like a bloodbath in the bathroom. It's like crazy shit, right? So I was like kind of getting tired of living there because it was kind of getting crazy. And so I was like, man, fuck this shit. I'm just chilling at work, and I'm thinking of different ways I can find somebody else to move in with. And this guy walks up to me named Hunter, and he's like, hey, don't you go to Cocaine Anonymous? And I was like, yeah, I did before I relapsed, you know. And he was like, I knew you from somewhere. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, what's been going on with you, man? And he's like, nothing. Me and my girlfriend just got a new place, and we're trying to find a roommate, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm trying to find a place to live. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay, I'll pick you up this afternoon. So he picks me up when I get off work, and he takes me to get all my stuff, right? I get all my stuff packed up in his car. I've never met his girlfriend ever a day in my life, right? And he picks me up, he brings me to his new apartment, and his girlfriend's standing there. I'm like, what's up, girl? I'm your new roommate. You know, if my husband had ever done that to me and brought home another girl to be the roommate, I would walk the dog on his ass. I would beat the brakes off his ass. But this girl, we became best friends, y'all. When I tell you, I didn't want nothing to do. I didn't want her man. I really didn't. We became the best of friends, and they had a daughter. And their daughter, y'all, when I tell you, she was bad to the bone. And so I would babysit her all the time. When I wasn't at work, I would babysit for her for free because I was so grateful to have like a cool place to live, you know? And so I was sleeping on the couch though. They didn't have another fucking bedroom. Well, this is how I met my husband. So I'm sleeping on that couch, and one night I went to go get Kaylee, which is the girl's name. And I was like, I want to have a party. Like, I just want to have a good time. I'm going to invite some guys over. And she's like, okay, that's fine, you know. And I was like, okay. So I invited some guys over. And the guy I invited over brought two friends with him. This guy named Corey, who I cannot stand, and my husband, Neil, who I had never met before. And so when they brought Neil over, I was like looking at him the whole time, like, damn, he's so cute. He was so cute. He has the spiky red hair, and he was dressed so preppy kind of, you know. I was used to hanging out with just crazy people, and he was just so cute. And so I started talking to him, and next thing you know, he never left my side. We were literally joined at the hip, and that was so many years ago. That was, you know, 10 years ago. 10 years ago. We've been together for 10 years. So, yeah, that's how I met my husband. I don't know how the fuck I got into that story, but that's how I met my husband. I hope y'all enjoyed that little story time. The other day we were on live, and I didn't even plan on talking about my story or anything, but somebody came in, they asked me to share like my backstory, you know, all the time, Teresa, all the time. Totally all the time. And I laugh. You guys, please don't take my laughing for like not caring, okay? Because like I got myself into some serious situations, right? Please don't take it that way. I laugh because if I don't laugh, y'all, then I would probably cry because I really fucked my life up. Okay, I'm 40 years old and I'm just now getting my own place where I don't rent from my mother-in-law. Okay, so just take that to the bank and cash it. Okay. It took me, after I lost my car, I didn't have another vehicle until I had been sober for 2.5 years. Okay. It took me that long to get back on my feet to where I could get my own vehicle, and I couldn't even buy it like myself. My husband had to help me co-sign because I couldn't, my credit was so bad. You know, my credit was so bad that I couldn't do anything. My credit just now got to a point where I was able to get the electricity turned on in my name without a deposit in this house. And I cry thinking about it because I had ruined my credit so many times. And I remember my dad when we were little, ever since I was like old enough to understand and to work a job, my dad always told me how important it was to make sure that I kept up with my credit. And I worked hard at whatever job I did so that way people would know that I was a good worker, you know, that I was a good worker and that I was worth what they were giving me, you know. So I always worked really hard at every job I've ever had. And at the beginning, I had started out and I paid all my credit card bills on time. I was doing so good. And as my addiction progressed, I started spending more and more and more money on my credit cards. And as my addiction got worse, I started like using my credit to like buy my drug dealer stuff, you know, because a lot of the times I had spent all my cash, you know. One thing about me was I would work really hard. I was waiting tables and bartending at the very beginning. And I would give my dad $200 every week, no matter what, to put back for me, right? To pay for my car payment, to pay for my insurance. And so I always stayed on top of that. I paid my car off in active addiction. Like that's how I paid my car off, was by staying consistent in active addiction, you know? But That was at the beginning of my active addiction, you know, when I first graduated high school is when I bought my car, and I only had a 5-year note on it. So it was 2005 and I had paid my car off, you know. I didn't get sober for another 10 years. 2015 is when I finally got sober, you know. And so I really messed up my credit really badly. I did it the first time, you know, by like 2008, my credit was wrecked. And I went to prison. And when I went to prison, the creditors started calling my mom and dad's home phone. Because back then, we all had landlines. I don't know if y'all have landlines anymore. But back then, my number was 501-525-0266. And it was a landline, okay? And so they started calling my mom and dad's landline while I'm in prison, okay? And my dad is like, she's in fucking prison, motherfuckers. And he said that Chase Bank was taunting him, like fucking calling him all the time at all hours of the night, just fucking with him, trying to get him to pay my credit card bills off. So when I got out of prison and I paroled out to the sober living house that I lived in, my dad said, I'm going to pay for you to file bankruptcy and you're going to pay me back. And when my dad tells you that you're going to pay him back, you're going to pay him back, you know, and it's like $7,000 to file bankruptcy, to pay for the lawyer, to pay for all that crap, right? And so he filed bankruptcy for me, or I did. I had to do it. Of course, I had to sign everything, right? And I started paying him back, right? I got out of prison. I started paying him back by working and sending him money. And I got him paid off, thank God. Thank God. Well, the reason why I was able to pay him off so easily was because I got a promotion at my job, and my boss, Miss Brewer, she comes into my lives sometimes. Y'all see her sometimes. My boss, Miss Brewer, took me to Memphis with her to do these stores. And so Kroger took over all these stores in Memphis, Tennessee. They used to be called Schnuckses. And they were grocery stores that went out of business. And we bought them all up and we turned them all into Krogers. Well, after we bought all the buildings up, they were disgusting on the inside. I'm talking like rats and fucking all kinds of shit inside of these stores. So what Kroger did was they got like 3 or 4 of their best employees out of each and every department. Maybe more out of the bigger departments, but I was just from the deli, so they took 3 of us out of the deli bakery, and they took us to Tennessee to redo these stores, to fucking build them from the bottom up, you know? And so while I was there, I was making like fucking $3,000 on one paycheck, dude. I'm talking like mad fucking money. Lots and lots of money. And so that's how I was able to pay my dad off so fast, was because I got all that money when I was working down there in Memphis. Thank God I was able to stay down there, because my dumb ass got fucked up on the first couple of days I was down there, and I was late to work one morning because we all had to be at work at like 4:30 in the morning. And don't y'all know, I just found the 2 boys who were the party boys, and they were all, just leave it to me, okay? Leave it to me. So, we had the best time, though. I'm not even going to lie to you about it. We had such a good time. And Kroger gave us credit cards, and we were able to charge everything on these credit cards and get drinks and just all kinds of stuff. And so I was having the time of my life. Oh, is that where you live, Hope? You pay them $1,000 a year to drive on the roads? I don't know how it is. Like here, what we do is we pay for our car tax, our insurance. We have to pay property taxes. Like okay, so I don't know if property taxes are, for me and my husband, are like our vehicles. If we owned the land that we lived on, it would be our land. You know what I mean? I am pretty happy now, but I wasn't when I was in active addiction. When I was in active addiction, I try to think back to when I was, when I was in active addiction, as long as I was doing drugs and I had like my drugs, I was okay. You know what I mean? Like I could manage. But when I did not have drugs, I felt like shit. I felt terrible all the time. And a lot of the problems that I had, you guys, was I tried to go to treatment so many times. I went to treatment 7 times, right? That's not a lot, but it's a lot for me, because I know a lot of you guys have been like double that, But I kept trying to go to treatment and fit into this like box, right? This one-way box that was like abstinence-based recovery. And that's why, like, I'm not for everybody, okay? I'm not for everybody, but I really am a huge advocate of you finding whatever way works for you. You know, hey, Angela. Yeah, girl, isn't that amazing? Good job. I'm just a very big advocate of you finding whatever way works for you, because I had tried for so many years to like smush myself into this like AA bubble, and it just wasn't something that was working for me. And the reason why I kept trying was because that was what I thought the right way was, because I was never given options. And so that's why I like to talk about all the different options there are and all the different ways that you can get sober and stay sober. And that sober is actually really relative to what you believe sobriety is, you know? Like if you look up the definition of sobriety, it talks about being clear-minded and not drinking alcohol, being without alcohol, you know? And I mean, I'm clear-minded, you know? I take medication that's prescribed to me by my doctor, and I take it as prescribed, you know? And so that's why I'm such a big advocate of you just choosing what works for you. And I don't like to push things on people. Yes, I do love Suboxone. It worked for me. I think it's the greatest thing in the whole wide world, and I do help people that want to get on it. But I would never, ever make any of you guys get on it. I would never try to push you to get on it. I would never tell you it was the only way to get on it. In fact, there's a lot of people that reach out to me, you guys, who are like, it's their first time ever trying to get help, right? And I ask them, I say, you know, have you gone to treatment? Have you tried to do things this way? Or have you tried to do that way? But at the end of the day, it's always their choice. And I don't have to try to teach or try to talk anybody into anything. There's this place on TikTok, and it's Sober Living, and they make TikToks about their sober living. And they're always trying to like talk addicts into coming to their program, because it's like $4,000 a month rent. So of course they need that money, right? And so they're always trying to talk people into it. If you don't have to talk people into shit if it's just a good program. If your program is a good program and it works and it saves people's lives, then it should speak for itself. And you shouldn't have to give people incentive or any reason to want to come there. They should want to come there because they believe it works, you know? And so that's why I'm not like a lot of people online, I don't think. I know there's a lot of people who work for treatment centers, and they only send people to the treatment center they work for and stuff like that. And that's just not me. I know a lot of people who, you know, they stand up here and they talk about religion all the time and God, and I love God, and he helped save me, but I also saved my ass. Okay. God helped me, but I did the work. I did the work. Okay. And so I don't push that on to people, you know, I don't push that on to people. That's why somebody asked me a little while back ago if I would do like Bible studies and stuff. And although I believe in God and, you know, I have been saved, no, I won't, because I don't want to alienate people who don't believe in that from my channel, from being here. Thanks. I appreciate that, Tina. I really, really do. I don't want to alienate you guys that are not, you know, religious or believe in God from being on my channel and being here and hanging out, you know. That's why I don't necessarily focus too hard on just one way of recovery. I talk a lot about my experience being on Suboxone and how it's helped me. And then a lot of you guys are on MAT. So a lot of our discussions will be around that, because you guys ask questions. I answer the questions, that kind of thing. But, I want to keep it to where everybody can feel like they can be involved. You know what I'm saying? And so medical marijuana is something that like I just recently in the last year, like really opened my heart up to helping people and being there for them and supporting that type of recovery. And, my sister's the person who actually proved it to me that it works, because she was a meth addict. Bad. Okay. She's a bad meth addict like me. We shot up together. And she smokes weed and she stays sober, and she's doing so good. And also she has glaucoma, and it helps her eyeballs not have pressure behind them. But that's what I try to do, Renee. Hey, Eileen. That's what I really, really try to do, is just be all inclusive. And listen to me, guys. Like, I know some people are going to have like a difference of opinion or whatever, but we can be all inclusive and have differences of opinion. We just keep our opinions to ourselves. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I don't understand, what's so hard for other people who, like, come for people like me who are on MAT, or come for people that are on medical marijuana or kratom, or, like, why don't you just keep your opinion to yourself? You know, because at the end of the day, when you're, like, yelling out your opinion because you're trying to invalidate another person's sobriety, you're the one who looks like an asshat. You're the one who looks dumb as fuck, because you're sitting there trying to be superior and invalidate someone else's recovery. How much recovery do you have if you're invalidating somebody else's? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, really ask yourself that. How much recovery do these people have who are telling you that you're not sober? If they're telling you you're not sober, to go around and do that to people is a lack of spiritual fitness, okay? A lack of being connected with a power greater than yourself. So don't make me take you to the bank. You know, I used to be in a hardcore 12-stepper, and I just know how it is. And I see people, it's a feeling of, they got to get sober the easy way. I had to do it the hard way. When in all actuality, we all went through the same thing to get to where we're at. Every single one of us went through terrible, debilitating withdrawal. Every single one of us got sick. You know, every one of us has stole from our parents, or fucking drove our car into a brick wall, right? I mean, every one of us has. So that's why I just try to stay positive and support everybody where they're at. Okay. But anyways, I'm going to get off here because I didn't even mean to go live, y'all. I just had to talk some shit. But now we done had a live stream. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all tomorrow night. Bye, y'all.